Welcome to 3 Minute Tech. These are the videos where we answer your technical financial planning questions without all of that jargon. Shot on location at our beautiful new offices, Level 37 QV1. So over the last few episodes, we've spoken about who decides who inherits your superannuation when you pass away. And similarly, we've also spoken about some of the tax consequences, particularly when your super balance is inherited by your adult children. Now today, we'll be talking about some of the strategic measures we can put in place to help save your adult children paying all of that tax. So as a quick refresher, who receives your super when you pass away? And what tax do they pay? Well, we know your superannuation is not governed automatically by your will. It's dependent on your superannuation beneficiary nominations. Now, under these nominations and within your super balance, you also have some tax components. Now, it does get complicated, and I'll refer you back to the previous episodes. But in simple terms, if your spouse inherits your superannuation, it will be tax-free. But if it goes to your adult children, there'll be two components. A tax-free component, which as the name suggests will be tax-free, and a taxable component, which there'll be some tax to pay, up to 17%. And today, we'll be talking about bringing that tax down. So outside of the family home, superannuation is Australians' biggest asset. So it's important to understand what kind of tax the kids will pay and how we can bring this down, like I said before. Now, two strategies we'll speak about today is something called a recontribution strategy and an early inheritance strategy. So let's get into it. So a recontribution strategy aims at converting the taxable component, the part where the adult children will pay some tax on, into the tax-free component, where they won't have to pay any tax on. Simply put, it involves taking a tax-free withdrawal out of your superannuation post the age of 60, and then simply recontributing that back into superannuation prior to the age of 75. Now, the devil's in the detail here, and the contribution back in has to be what's considered a non-concessional contribution. So as always, it's important to seek some advice. But this can be hugely beneficial and save thousands and thousands of dollars in tax. And we'll go into a bit more detail in our case study today. The next strategy we'll be talking about is an early inheritance or an early superannuation withdrawal. Now, post the age of 60, you can take money out of your superannuation tax-free. Now, this is not me telling you to take any money out of your superannuation prematurely, because superannuation is by far and away the most tax-effective retirement structure for you. So it's important to get the timing right. So this is really in those unfortunate circumstances when you may have some bad medical news. So if you have a loved one who has a terminal diagnosis, there may be merits in looking at taking out their superannuation prior to their passing to help save the next generation some tax. So in today's case study, we have Shane and Riley. They're recently retired, 60 years old, and have $1.5 million in their self-managed super fund. Now, they've never made any after-tax contributions to their super, and it all consists of that taxable element. They have 3 children, and they're worried about when the children eventually inherit their super, what kind of tax they'll have to pay. So after sitting down, speaking to their advisor, they look to put in place a recontribution strategy. Over the next 7 years, they strategically take money out of their superannuation solely to recontribute it back in. What kind of tax does it save them? Well, it saves their kids, if they were to pass away, over $250,000 in tax. So it's really meaningful. But like I said before, the devil is in the detail, and it's very important to seek advice to make sure you know the associated requirements. So what have we learnt today? Well, we know estate planning and superannuation is a whole family affair. When it's going to a spouse, there may be no tax consequences, but when it's going to adult children, it's important to look under the hood. So seek some advice, look at your own statements, and then if you have any questions, always please send them through.